How engineers do it.
Before we start today's video, I would like to ask all my viewers to subscribe to my YouTube channel How Engineers Do It. So share the video among all of your friends and also hit the bell icon to never miss another update.
Hello friends, this is Mohammed Shakil here from How Engineers Do It. Welcome to the series on Excel macros for beginners. In this series, I'll be taking you through the basics of Excel macros by explaining you how to record a macro, edit a recorded macro, and then write a macro from the scratch. So without further ado, let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the very first video of this series. In this video, we'll be learning about how we can bring up the developers tab if you don't have it, and we'll record a simple macro, and then we'll learn about how we can get inside the macro code which was recorded and how we can modify that and see the differences in that. And also we will see how we can write some fresh macro, a simple one, and then we'll also see about cell referencing. So let's begin. So if you don't have this developer tab over here, you can go to the files, options, and go to the customize ribbon, and you have to make sure that you have this developer tab checked. And in my case it's checked and I already have it over here, so I'm just clicking on OK. Now over here we have this Visual Basic. If you click on this, the Visual Basic interface will be opening. And without further ado, let's start creating or recording our very first macro. So over here we have this record macro button. So what this button does is it'll record whatever we do. So I'll just click on use relative references and make sure that it's clicked, and then go for record macro and just name your macro saying fill color. Make sure that you don't have a space on this macro name, and just give Control Shift maybe Z and this workbook, and just write here that this macro changes color and offsets cells. So this is not important that you have to write this. Even if you don't write it, as long as you have a macro name, it's gonna do the trick. Now the moment you click on OK, you can see that the button changed to stop recording. So if you do anything over here, it's gonna record. So I'm just clicking on the right. I'm just changing the color to maybe red. What I'm gonna do next is just shifting the cell towards the right. So I'm just 2 cells away from this. I'm just clicking on the record at the stop macro. Now the macro is already recorded. Now what I do next is, if I just click on Control Shift Z, you can see that the macro is already working. Now if I click on the macro over here, you can see that the macro fill color is already generated here, and this over here you can see the list of macros that you have in this workbook. Now if I click on edit, it goes to whatever recording we have done, or what coding was automatically captured by the software here. You can see a couple of things over here saying color 255, and you can see a lot of line items. But as we know, what the macro did was just to change the color and move the cell towards the right side. So with that understanding, can we do a little modification here? So for example, I'm just deleting these 2 lines, because as we know, color is the only thing that changed, and the active cell offset over here is the only thing that changed. So what if I delete everything else? What will happen? Let's have a look. Now what I'm doing is I'm just getting back here. Let's see if the macro still works. Control Shift Z. It still works. So this kind of creates a basic understanding within us that the macro works even though you delete all the unnecessary lines. So what happens when we write is, as we have a basic understanding of what we need, we'll not be writing all the things which is not required. So all those things which was generated was auto generated because it was a recorded macro. So what we can see over here is a color change and an offset of a cell towards the row. So what happens if I change it to maybe 4? What will happen? Let's just get back over here, and I'm just clicking on Control Shift Z. You can see that it offsets by 4 cells. All right, now that's that. Now what we can do next is let's just write a simple code. So I'm just going to delete all of this. So before I do that, I would like to show you one thing. So let's say if we are saving this Excel file, if you need to save the macro, for example, I'm just saving it as fill color. If I try to save this, it's going to say that you cannot save the VB project. So you have to close and make sure that you're saving in XLSM format. That's macro enabled workbook. So it's also going to save the macro that we have done over here, and just click on save, and it has saved now. Now even if you close this and come back over here, the macro is still going to be there. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm just getting into the macros. I'm just clicking on edit. So I'll just remove all of this. Right, now let's write something else. Okay, so here you can see this is an active cell, right? So what I would write is active cell dot value equals 55. So if you do that, and if you click on the run macro button, the 55's value is coming over here. I'll just show you a few more cell referencing methods. Before I do that, I'll just show you how we can show a message box. Message box XYZ. Now if you do this and just click on play, it's going to show you a message box. And if you would like to just show numbers, you can just click on 1 2 3 and click on the play button. It shows 1 2 3. So whatever that's coming inside characters or alphabets, you need to put inside the double quotes, and if it's numbers, you need to put in you need to just write that off. Now as I told before, we'll just try to show some self-referencing methods. So here, let's say if I need to display a number 55 or 65 in D6, or let's say I want to show this cell as D6. So I'll just say D6 equals D6. Now if I just click on play, so you gotta put it inside the quotes as we have characters in it. Just click on play over here and it shows D6 over here. So let's say if I would like to show, and also if you would put value over here, dot value, it's one of the same. It'll still show D6. For example, so you say D8, here you write D8, click on the play button and it shows D8. So here you can see that this value is not getting erased because the macro is just overrunning. As when we were playing over here, every time we were playing or every time we were running the macro, it wasn't deleting the previous color that was inserted. So that's how the macro works. So, and also just like to show you, For example, if I would like to fill from F8 to F12, let's say if I want to fill F8 to F12, let's say I would fill maybe 12. If I just put that play, you can see that 12 is displayed on all of this line items over here. So those were some in this video. What we have covered is the developer tab and recording a simple macro, modifying the macro, showing message box. I hope I've showed that. Yeah, message box, I've shown that. And we have seen cell referencing. And also, I'd just like to show you here that we have an option called as object browser. So in the object browser, we can see the different objects. So see over here, the whole application, it's an application, and inside an application we have different objects. So let's say if I would just say chart, you can see that it's inside the class application, and inside we have different members called as active chart and all similar things. So we would just we would see in the future videos, the upcoming videos, how we can make use of these object browser in order to make our programming more simpler. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much and stay tuned.